So yeah, the latest Nick Crowley video, Aviloop, YouTube Darkest Mystery. I wonder how many Darkest Mystery video is done. Every time it is the darkest. Oh yeah, the last video was 5 months ago, it's been a minute. That's what I thought, yeah. I think we reacted to that one on my old channel before it got deleted. So it's been a minute, yeah. Never heard of Aviloop, I have no context. As always with those videos, I literally have no context. So let's watch it. Spooky already.
August 5th, 2011. A channel appears on YouTube serving as a promotional page for an up-and-coming company called Aviloop, a brand that boasted unbeatable deals in the world of aviation. That same day, 4 videos were uploaded, each showcasing young women dressed as flight attendants, detailing some of the many services that Aviloop provided. These would be the only videos ever uploaded to the channel, as from that moment on, the page was abandoned, giving Aviloop a lifespan of just 1 day. The 1 day is all it would take to set in motion a mystery that remains unsolved to this very day, a mystery surrounding the company at the core of this channel and the services that it allegedly provided, with
this really sounds like so benign. I have no idea how this goes dark.
no one being able to answer the seemingly simple question, what was Aviloop? And the more you search for answers, the more deranged this trail becomes. This is the story of Aviloop, YouTube's darkest mystery.
I'm scared.
And there's no catch.
So what are you waiting for, Captain?
This video. Opinions and theories. I do not claim this as fact. Do your own research. Okay. Allegedly.
Welcome to Aviloop, your collective buying website for anything aviation.
The formula for Aviloop's content was simple. A young woman stands in front of a static white background dressed in a flight attendant's outfit. They refer to themselves as deal attendants, and their job seems to be sharing information about this new brand, Aviloop.
We offer deals on flight lessons, pilot accessories, fuel,
FBO services, charter flights, and even small aircraft.
You don't see that very often.
The brand marketed a number of unique aviation-related services, making them appear as a one-stop shop for anyone in the industry or just anyone interested in flying. Aviloop claimed to do it all, and at unbeatable prices too.
Our deals are usually 50 to 90% off.
Promoting deals of 50 to 90% off.
That already sounds way too sus. I mean, especially about something with like aircraft, right? There's so many rules, regulation, so much safety measure. You know, it's the kind of thing that like probably doesn't do much deal like this because it's all about, you know, it's all ultra expensive and for good reason, I guess, maybe. So this already sounds insanely off, yeah. I mean, even fucking McDonald's is not gonna do 90% off.
It hardly seems like anything mysterious, just your standard subpar ad from the early 2010s. But the more you watch, the less clear it becomes what exactly Aviloop did. They left their business incredibly vague. There were no prices, no locations, and rather they just listed a bunch of flying buzzwords, offered at deals that seemed impossible. For example, they list fuel supply among their offerings, but how are they actually getting the fuel and providing it at 50 to 90% off? And where in the country or even the world are they offering it? It just doesn't seem realistic. What they're saying sounds fine on the surface, but the more you think about it, the less sense it really makes. It just seems too good to be true, not to mention how bizarre it is that this unknown company could come in and offer literally anything you could want that's flying related, with such exorbitant deals. Admittedly though, this is easy enough to ignore and play off as an ineffective or even deceitful advertisement. But there was something else that was much harder to ignore about
I mean, I'm sure that like redirecting you to a website or something.
these commercials. With that being, the deal attendants themselves. Despite Aviloop claiming to be a professional aviation business,
I guess the outfit look kind of cheap, like cosplay, right? I was gonna make the joke at first that they look like, you know, the kind of cheap outfit you see in like, you know, porn videos, basically.
it's difficult not to notice how cheap these women's outfits appear. They're clearly costumes rather than real flight attendant uniforms, and they're clearly over-sexualized too. They're essentially dressed as fetishized versions of actual flight attendants, which is bizarre as one of the services
Which, you know, old school flight attendants, that was kind of the idea, right? I mean, even like the recruitment, I had seen a video once again about it, back in the days, like 50, 60, 70 years ago. Even the recruitment process was like, you have to be a very good looking woman, and they had like some kind of like weird rules too about like not being married or not having a boyfriend or something like that. Kind of like idols, I guess.
That Aviloop claims to provide is staffing for flight crews, which would include actual flight attendants. Yet, for whatever reason, they chose to dress these girls in seductive costumes. If they were trying to make these advertisements look professional, they were failing miserably. And it wasn't only the outfits that had a strange sexual undertone to them, it was also the script that the girls were reading.
Whether you want to learn to fly, charter an airplane, or just see more girls like me,
Or to see more girls like me.
Aviloop can help.
Aviloop can help.
So what are you waiting for, Captain?
And remember Top Gun? Clearly your attractiveness increases with every flight under your belt.
Bizarrely, the videos themselves were filled with sexual innuendos.
Anyone who claims that humans were not meant to fly never experienced the thrill of their own successful landing. Get ready to fly big boy airplanes.
They were clearly trying to be
I mean, tangent, but I love the concept of we weren't meant to do something, but we're doing it anyway because we can. I mean, that's kind of what's great about humanity, right? We probably weren't meant to fly, but we used our brain to do it.
more than a little flirty,
That's all.
which goes hand in hand with the outfits that they were donning. Now, some might argue that this was a sign of the times. In 2011, edgy and over-sexualized marketing was still very much in the norm, with several major companies building their entire brands around the approach. But the only problem here is that the videos made it unclear what Aviloop was even supposed to be offering. Despite saying a lot, the lack of details made it entirely ineffective. Like the business itself was
I feel like where this is going is probably like some kind of prostitution company.
an afterthought, with the focus instead being on these women. In fact, even in the channel's description, they simply wrote, "Meet Aviloop deal attendants." This is the official page for a brand new company trying to promote its services, and that's all they had to say. That's how they marketed their entire company. Making some wonder what was actually the role of these deal attendants, and what was actually the purpose of Aviloop. The first and most likely theory at this point is that Aviloop was an overambitious company that used over-sexualized marketing to build intrigue around its brand, at a time when others were doing the same thing to great success. Maybe they weren't even off the ground yet and over-promising on services that they hoped to one day be able to provide, but for the time being were just throwing out there to get more people to visit their website. But with such a focus on these deal attendants and just how strange these videos come across, some were left with a different theory, that rather than Aviloop using sex to sell their service, maybe sex was their service.
Seems like it.
The theory goes that Aviloop was a front for pornography or even prostitution, poorly hidden under the guise of this fake aeronautics company. This would explain the prominence of these deal attendants, as they themselves may have been the actresses or prostitutes. And it also explains the lack of information about the company itself, as the reason their deals and services don't seem to make any sense
Go to the
is
site.
because they weren't actually offering them. It was all just a cover-up. And honestly, just going off the eye test, this is how the page comes across. But there are other details that make this theory a lot more compelling. For starters, in numerous videos they mention an unusual feature of their website, that users can vote for their favorite deal attendant and win prizes as a result.
You can even vote for your favorite deal attendant and win special prizes.
With one of these special prizes later being revealed to be a one-on-one video call with one of these deal attendants. This shows that the deal attendants weren't just for marketing, they were a core part of the services offered to Aviloop users, making one wonder what was actually happening on those video calls, and was it perhaps something sexual? And it goes even deeper than that, as there's a reason why I mentioned prostitution specifically in this theory, with that reason being a line mentioned in one of these videos.
To purchase this deal, you must hold at least a private pilot license and a current medical certificate. Don't miss out and click on that big blue button. You know you want to.
The deal attendant mentions that all customers needed to provide an up-to-date medical certificate. Now, this isn't something that's necessarily unheard of in the aviation world, but it certainly isn't the norm, at least from what I could tell. But in the context of this theory,
I mean, I have no idea, but I would assume it is, right? In the same way, like people with some condition that might make them pass out cannot be allowed to drive and stuff like that, right? I assume it's the norm, yeah? You need to prove that you're, fully healthy to fly because, very dangerous, right? And also they literally said they also wanted like proof of the flight license or something.
It makes perfect sense. If they truly were operating some sort of prostitution ring, then their customers having an up-to-date medical certificate would be imperative to preventing the spread of...
Is it though? I mean, not that I've ever used any kind of service like that, but I don't think even escort ask for like medical record or something to prove that you don't have any STD. They just give you a fucking condom. I don't know if this is like a normal thing. Like, who's going to see, you know, like a prostitute with like their freaking like medical record with the name and history and all that?
STDs. It's strange enough to make this theory feel legitimately possible, but even if it wasn't true, it seems obvious that there was something off with this channel.
I mean, frankly, like, it seems like a double thing. Either it is what he's saying, or it's just like some actual like company by some rich old man who's totally out of touch, and you know, that would explain it.
And we haven't even discussed the strangest part of it all. In a few videos, you can hear unusual sounds in the background.
And you want to add multi-engine to your Pretty Green license, this is your opportunity to do it at 50% off. Add multi-engine to your Pretty Green license, this is your opportunity
It's either a woman moaning or a dog.
to your Pretty Green license, this is...
In the background, you can hear what appears to be someone moaning in a blatantly sexual manner.
This
which was loud enough for even the deal attendant to take notice. It's very
Okay,
unusual, and
I
certainly
guess.
not a sound that could just accidentally happen on a typical film set.
Which makes it all the stranger that another inexplicable noise was heard in the background of a different video, and this one left viewers far more distressed.
You want to learn to fly, charter an airplane, or to see more girls like me? Aviloop can help. Or
I
to
didn't
see more
catch it.
girls like me? Aviloop can help. Or to see more girls like me? Aviloop can help.
It also sounds like moaning, I guess.
Some
But
believe
more
that this
guy.
is yet another sexual moan, while others swear they can hear a specific word.
Help,
The
I'm sure.
word help.
Nah, it sounds like a moan.
It's incredibly concerning, especially if this prostitution theory is true. I mean, there's just so many implications to it.
Given the link between prostitution and human trafficking,
But again, this could all be part of the marketing. Maybe this was all just a ploy to get people to visit their website, roping you in with these sexualized, creepy, and even concerning videos.
So what's actually on the
that almost
website?
demand that you dig deeper. Well, if this is the case, then surely visiting their
New York.
website would help put this mystery to bed. At the time these videos were uploaded back in 2011, those visiting the Aviloop website would be met with a rather lackluster experience. The homepage was dull and uninviting, and seemed about as vague as the videos promoting it. However, they did have an About section that attempted to describe the service more in depth. There, they mentioned that the primary goal of Aviloop was safety.
It literally looks like, you know, when you're trying to do a school report back in the thousands, and you just use like the basic, like, you know, Notepad or Word to write your report or something.
They believed that making training and other aeronautic services more accessible could in turn help prevent accidents, which strangely was never even hinted at in their videos, and is never mentioned again on any other portion of the website. But it was in this About tab that they listed even more services that they claimed to provide. Services like navigation equipment, headsets, and pilot vacations, among many other things. Basically anything even remotely related to flying, they sold it. Or at least claimed to, and they insisted that they did so cheaper than anywhere else, by using collective bargaining, a process that they would go into greater detail about. Basically, Aviloop acts as a third party, partnering with aviation businesses to promote unique deals on their site. Each of these deals has a quota that must be hit for it to actually go through, so if enough people buy the deal, the quota is reached and everyone gets a voucher to do or receive whatever they paid for. But if the deal doesn't reach its quota, then everyone is refunded and the deal is voided without any cost to the users or the business. Aviloop was the middleman, which could
Sure.
explain how they managed to offer such impressive deals and such diverse services. Though again, this is just what they were saying, begging the question, was anything actually being sold on Aviloop.com? Well, there actually was. The deals were sorted by general locations, and most consisted of flying lessons, museum trips, or even temporary tattoos. However, there
Okay.
was something unusual about these listings.
Temporary tattoo.
Bizarrely, almost every deal on the site was marked as completed, each having ended in 1969, which obviously was impossible. There were only a select few deals throughout the entire website's history
Am I stupid for thinking instantly, like, you know, choosing 69 specifically makes it even more sus now?
that were ever even active, and even then, there didn't seem to be a way to actually purchase them. This end date of 1969
So it's a
is
front
either some
website,
sort of
yeah.
glitch, or it was intentionally set that way, as the year just so happens to be yet another sexual innuendo. So what should prove the company's legitimacy actually
69.
only makes this company seem more suspicious. It was like they were trying to make it appear as if they were selling all these different things, yet in reality they were hardly offering anything, and what they were offering wasn't even available for purchase. This sent me on a hunt trying to find any sort of testimonials or reviews from any Aviloop customers, but strangely I couldn't find a single one. In fact, the only proof that I could find that anyone actually used the service was an Aviloop patch that I found floating around on eBay. And the only reason that this is at all significant is that these badges were included in most of the offers on the website.
Oh.
But this isn't substantial in any way, shape, or form, and it's clear that the seller wasn't actually a customer and was instead a patch collector that must have somehow obtained it, making me question if anyone actually ever bought something from this website, and if this whole marketplace was really just a ploy. Which takes us back to that lingering theory.
I mean, for a front website, it's kind of terrible, right? It's so basic, and then you get such obvious discrepancy, like all the deal ending in 69. It's a very weirdly not convincing front website or something.
Aviloop channel, the website featured these deal attendants, and just like the channel, they seemed to be the primary focus. Their involvement was plastered all over the website, with the whole business model appearing to hinge on their involvement, which the site was not afraid to outwardly admit. What is the first thing you look for on our deal pages? We understand. Go ahead, check out our deal attendants. They sure are stunning. Vote for your favorite deal attendant for a chance to win a one-on-one VIP video chat with one of the girls. You will find our models are not only beautiful, but also fun and interesting to talk to. Just have fun. Feel free to bask in the glory of your win and be the envy of your friends. After all, not everyone
The
gets to
glory
learn
of your
video
win?
chatting with supermodels. The process of voting
I video chatted with a supermodel. I'm such a cool guy. What?
for the best deal attendant was something that they heavily pushed, going as far as to reward one voter each week with the aforementioned private video call. And when discussing these calls, they not so subtly hinted that they weren't just ordinary video chats, writing, "You will be talking to real successful fashion models with exciting backgrounds. Many are big aviation fans, so you will have a lot to talk about. You never know. Vote, win, chat. You never know."
You never know.
The allusion to sex was way more prevalent on the site than even on the channel.
With this line seeming to hint that winning these video calls could entail some sort of sexual encounter with the deal attendant, which only seems to bolster this theory even more.
I mean, it's really
Unlike the
left
channel,
up to the
here we're at
imagination.
least given a bit more context as to why these women or deal attendants are being used, and according to the site, it wasn't as sinister as it seems. Under the
Okay.
business section, which is used as an FAQ for companies wanting to promote their deals on Aviloop, they wrote, "What is the deal with deal attendants? As a business, you have the option to include a professional video of one of our stunning models on your deal page for a flat fee. She will deliver a 30 to 60 second message describing your promotion. Our deal attendants are real professional models who work for high-end clients. Why should I include a deal attendant? Although our promotions get a lot of exposure, adding a deal attendant has the potential of making it viral on social media sites. Promotions that include a video tend to be extra successful." There's a lot to unpack here. For starters, this explains how Aviloop makes their money. They're basically charging companies to run ads using these deal attendants.
I don't know how they want this like short ads to go viral. I mean, the girls are cute, but why would this go viral outside of like in an expose video like this?
Are examples of what these ads would look like, though calling them professional is extremely generous, and I can't imagine any companies actually wanting to use the service. And given that these are the only videos that they shared, I don't think many, if any, actually did. But in this explanation, Aviloop is all but admitting to using these deal attendants to rope people into visiting their website, over-sexualizing them to lure in perverted internet users, giving them false hope that they'd be able to
Wouldn't
interact
be
with
me.
these women and maybe even sleep
I never click on any sexual thumbnail. Couldn't be me.
with them. And in exchange, these users keep coming back to the site under this false hope, which maybe could lead to them purchasing something. It's an insane business model, and one that really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I mean, they're claiming that
Especially for aviation, I mean. I understand again, flight attendant, good-looking model culture was a thing, and maybe it's still a thing to an extent, but it still all seemed too weird.
this is a service for professionals and real aviation fans for the primary reason of making our skies safer, yet they aren't actually offering anything but the prospect of talking to women. These women are the main and really only draw of the service, and even the deals that they did list seem to contradict the primary goal of this company. I mean, how would a trip to the museum help with aviation safety? And how would a temporary tattoo help with that
Seeing how people died.
either? And on the topic of these tattoos, they're also extremely sexual in nature. They were meant to mimic pilot stripes and be put on your shirtless shoulders, with a package reading, "When a uniform just won't do," and the description adding all sorts of innuendos. And this is a good time to, in the description adding all sorts of innuendos.
They are easy to apply and quick to remove when the fun is over. You didn't want to read that.
And this is a good time to point out just how strange the writing is across the entire website. As here they write, "What better way to thank a pilot
So this is all about role-playing as like a pilot captain, basically? Hello, Nobik.
than by saying, 'Captain, you deserve to have your epaulets tattooed. We wish someone had these on board of the Miracle on the Hudson flight. Just imagine the look on the pilot's face if someone handed these to him. So why not keep a pair in your wallet and thank the Sully in your life for the next flight? Every safe landing deserves recognition, and this gift is sure to make
Yeah,
your day.'"
I saw that, but I don't know if I'll watch it soon. I mean, maybe I'll wait until all the videos are out to finish it. Yeah.
Everything is written like this. It's not only sexual, it's also nonsensical, and feels like it was written by AI at a time when AI wasn't even a thing.
Right?
Everything about Aviloop feels wrong. The lack of any tangible goods and services, the overly convoluted business structure, and the lack of any public customers just makes this company appear so fake.
Sussy.
But that doesn't inherently mean that they were actually involved in pornography or prostitution. I mean, despite all these innuendos, there is no direct mention of the sale of sex anywhere on the website from what I could see. And unfortunately, much of the website is lost to time, as in 2016 the site would go down, replaced by another random URL, making it impossible to know what this platform was actually like for those who signed up for it. What were they actually being offered? What were they discussing amongst themselves? And what happened on these video calls? It's all unknown, as what I've shown is pretty much all I was able to salvage from the
Mystery, mystery.
However, Aviloop didn't stay down forever. In 2019, Aviloop.com re-emerged, only this time it looked very different. Gone were the deals, the business model, and most importantly, the deal attendants, and in its place was what looked to be a generic template website. They still claimed to offer some of their services, but they were now left even more vague, and there was no attempt to even make it look like you could purchase anything. Even the innuendos were gone. It was quite literally as bare bones as
Looks
it
very
gets,
normal, yeah.
and comes across like a sham website, void of any notable information. With one exception.
Oh.
There was a single new addition to the site, as at the very bottom you could find a short bio, not of a deal attendant, but of a legitimate pilot named Nadia Marinko, the creator of Aviloop. This revelation is huge, as Nadia Marinko was a well-known and extremely successful pilot, which makes Aviloop all the more confusing, as you would think that her involvement in the company would help legitimize it, and make it seem more likely that Aviloop was a real company after all. But instead, it actually did the exact opposite, as her involvement plunges this mystery into a whole new depth, a depth far darker than we've yet to discuss.
Why? What did she do?
Born in Czechoslovakia in 1986, Nadia dedicated her younger years to modeling, landing multiple high-profile roles in her country. And by the age of just 15, these roles led to her being moved to the United States to help continue this budding career.
Random tangent, but Czechoslovakia is not a thing, right? Well, it's not a thing anymore. It, descended into a bunch of stuff like the Czech Republic and some of the other countries around there, right? Kind of like Yugoslavia? Or am I confusing the two?
But by 20, her interest had shifted to a different kind of runway. She became obsessed with flying and had a natural talent for it too, quickly rising through the ranks and gaining certification.
All this flying stuff, I've been playing Ace Combat recently, like literally before this stream I was playing Ace Combat 4 on PS2. Really fun game. I never thought I really cared about like playing games before, but Ace Combat are really, really fun.
faster than most others could at that age. By 25, she was considered extremely accomplished for someone so
Share both of them, I mean. Maybe I'll even watch both.
young, and her resume would soon reach a wider audience when she began leveraging social media.
I mean, she's literally a model-looking woman, so, you know. Of course she'll be popular. And on top of it, she has skills with planes.
She posted videos under the alias Gulf
It's a
Stream
nice,
Girl, and eventually
contrast
Global Girl, where
with
she
that
marketed
movie.
herself as a supermodel turned pilot, which worked to the tune of millions of views. Nadia Marenko was a star in the aviation world and on social media too, and it was during the height of this success that she started Aviloop. It clearly wasn't meant to be some big secret either. She actively promoted it on numerous occasions, doing interviews on podcasts and even taking it to a trade show. If this was a front for something nefarious, she was doing a bad job of keeping it discreet, which seems to back up our first theory. And it would be very easy to settle on that theory and just call it a day, had being a model and a pilot been all that Nadia was known for.
Okay. What else is she known for?
You see, there was something that she was hiding from her audience, a secret in the form of a bond with one man whom she was working closely with at the time that Aviloop was launched.
It's gonna be some predator guy.
A man by the name
Oh.
of Jeffrey Epstein.
I did not see that one coming. What a twist.
Jeffrey Epstein has been arrested on new sex trafficking charges.
Okay, well, that obviously changes everything. Like, I was really thinking that he's digging, you know, obviously he's building a story with this video, right? He was keeping all this info for most of the video, but I was thinking, you know, it's all a bit sus, but not that sus, I feel like. But now, okay, it's like, he was very likely right. Okay, now that's fucked up. Huh? Well, shit. Okay, now that's really fucked up. Edenil.
Charges of soliciting and procuring minors for prostitution.
He was involved in trafficking young women and children.
Like everybody was involved with Jeffrey Epstein is what it feels like.
In case you're somehow unaware, Jeffrey Epstein is—
How many like billion of people did this guy get involved with, seriously? Here I am now with former Prince Andrew. Yeah. I remember seeing the interview with that guy.
the most prolific pedophile and human trafficker maybe of all time. He carried out a large-scale human trafficking operation, bringing children to his private island that he and other elites exploited in horrific ways. It's one of the biggest news stories of my lifetime, and over the past years there's been so much talk—
Same, and I guess most of us, and yet nothing is happening, right? Like, only a fraction of the people are being like, prosecuted or whatever, right? The literal president of the United States was very obviously extremely involved, is just being cheating. I mean, I don't think I need to recap, we've all seen the news, but what a world we live in.
surrounding the acquaintances of Epstein. Who was connected with him and how close were they? But of all these people in Epstein's circle, few, if any, were closer to him than Nadia Marenko.
Since Charles
It's a
II in
difficult subject to
1640.
discuss, but Nadia is considered one of Epstein's victims. He found her through her modeling job when she was just a teenager.
And she didn't just come to the United States for work. Epstein himself brought her, after allegedly purchasing her from her father.
What followed was Nadia becoming his self-described sex slave.
Okay,
It's a
that's,
horrible and unimaginable fate. But while Nadia appeared to have been a victim of Epstein, that wasn't
Be
all
it.
she was. As after becoming an adult,
I mean, you know, I can't feel too bad. Yeah, maybe it's the French blood in me.
she also became Epstein's accomplice. When Epstein was first investigated by the FBI back in the 2000s, many of his victims came forward and claimed
Charlie
that
first.
Nadia was not only present for their abuse, but she was a willing participant, there to satisfy Epstein's criminal sexual desires by, on occasion, directly participating in sex abuse and prostitution.
I mean, not to defend her, but it's always the thing with stuff like that, right? If she was, you know, since a child, the victim of all this herself, it's no surprise that she turned out fucked up. You know, doesn't excuse that she actively took part in all the fucked up stuff, but it's totally understandable, yeah, how things ended up like this. I feel like, you know, in 40 years, if I'm still alive, we're still gonna hear about all the stuff about Epstein and all the fall down and the fallout of all this. It's kind of insane, yeah. Revolution and Republic sing over 150 years before France.
And of the minor girls. Now, Epstein was eventually given a sweetheart deal for these crimes in 2008, which led to him serving just 13 months in prison. And as part of that deal, Nadia was given complete immunity, meaning she never faced any sort of repercussions for her use of children. But despite being a free woman by the time that Epstein was thrown in jail, she stood by his side, living in his New York City home, waiting for his release. And while he was behind bars, Nadia would visit him roughly 70 times. These two were deeply connected, even well after she was his slave, with Nadia even making a scrapbook for Epstein, which is just so terrifying that I had to at least mention it in this video.
What the fuck am I looking at? I'd rather not look at
Several years later in 2012, a time when Nadia had long since left Epstein's home and his control, that Nadia would rejoin his operation, this time with a brand new role. She became one of Epstein's pilots, taking victims and perpetrators alike to and from the island, on the plane they dubbed the Lolita Express.
I mean, frankly, I haven't really looked into it deeply because there's so much news about it. You know, I feel like it's the kind of thing where, like, again, we're gonna need to wait some years for, like, someone to make some kind of a big, maybe YouTube video, because that's what I watch, right? Big YouTube video really covering everything and explaining everything once, you know, everything's come to light, because I guess we're still in the middle of it, right? There's still a ton of stuff that hasn't been released from the papers or whatever. A ton of people who haven't been prosecuted, so yeah, this is gonna take a long time, maybe even decades. Again, I've only seen like headlines and stuff like that, and there's just so much, it's like, it's insane.
What happened on the Lolita Express?
Everything that happened on the Lolita Express and his other planes was the same thing that happened in his bedrooms and the massage rooms. The abuse did not stop because we're in the air. Jeffrey couldn't take a 2-hour flight without having to ejaculate. Like, that's how sick this man was.
Nadia Marenko was directly trafficking children for Epstein, and she was doing this in 2012, mere months after she started Aviloop.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay. I totally believe now Aviloop was some kind of weird, fucked up front, yeah? Yeah.
Which brings us to our third and most upsetting theory. That Aviloop wasn't a cover for prostitution, but rather a front for child trafficking and pedophilia.
I mean, I don't think you need to say allegedly anymore.
And the timing of the company's launch, mixed with all the innuendos, the red flags, it all starts to make sense. And it's made even more disturbing when you look at the videos they posted on YouTube, as one thing I failed to mention so far is just how young these deal attendants look. There's obviously no way to conclusively determine their age from the footage, but some believe that they look to be teenagers and maybe even underaged, which would make sense for this theory, as the deal attendants wouldn't be prostitutes, but rather child victims. It's a theory that has to be considered. I mean, as crazy as it seems, Aviloop was quite literally founded and run by a child trafficker who was actively trafficking children when the company started.
And Nadia wasn't the only sketchy character involved in the site behind the scenes.
Epstein himself was as well. The two frequently emailed each other, and in multiple instances, Aviloop was discussed, with Epstein frequently giving her advice. In one email, he wrote to her, "Website is cool, mix of porn, Groupon, and flying. The marketing campaign could be, buy with us, we give a flying fuck." His mentioning of porn here is just more confirmation that Aviloop wasn't just an aviation company, but this also shows that Epstein was helping with the company, and he wasn't just doing this through friendly advice. Throughout his emails, you can also find dozens of receipts from transactions with Aviloop, totaling hundreds of thousands of dollars of payments sent directly to the company. Jeffrey Epstein was an investor in Aviloop, and a big one too.
I mean, there's actually like no question anymore, it's pretty obvious.
And he seemed to believe in the service so much that he even appeared to use it himself, as emails show him inquiring about booking flights through the company. Nadia at one point even offered to help Epstein through Aviloop, writing,
Is there anything I can do for you? I can find a deal through Aviloop on anything you want. Airplanes, helicopters, cheapest charters, discounted fuel, or a new model/assistant.
She's literally offering Jeffrey Epstein a model through Aviloop, which more than hints at this theory being possible. I mean, she spells it out. And if they were in fact trafficking children through this service, this could give us a blueprint to how they were able to get their victims. Maybe they were finding models and having them...
The thing I still don't get is that what even was the point of all this? Like a bunch of short videos telling to go to the website, and then a website where like you can't buy anything because it's all sold out, and it didn't look like there was any way to contact anybody. So like, what even was the point of all this?
Fly out under the assumption that modeling is all they would be doing. Maybe these videos were even their tryouts for their roles, which they did without even realizing what was to come. I mean, these women were referred to as models on the Aviloop website. And remember, modeling is exactly how Epstein found Nadia. And it's also how he found so many other victims, as he was known to use the modeling industry as a means of recruiting young and underaged women, offering them high-paying jobs and potentially career-making opportunities in order to lure them in. So maybe this was all part of the operation, or maybe Nadia was simply taking a page from his book and using the same style of entrapment that he used on her. It's so disturbing to even consider. And there's one more email that I believe is the most disturbing of all.
And again, from all the stuff, which is probably far from everything that I've seen from the stuff he was doing, or that I've read, I guess, this doesn't seem that crazy.
That could allude to their alleged trafficking. An email with the subject line, Old Hairy Coconuts.
I ordered sweet young coconuts from Thailand for you, and they just arrived. Very yummy. I was going to ship them to you in Paris, but I hear you are coming back, so I will send them to 71st with Sarah, just so you don't have to drink juices from old hairy things.
Epstein was notorious for using code words in his messages, and it's not hard to see what Nadia may have meant by sweet young coconuts.
Code words.
So was it a joke or was it a coded message? It's hard to say, but this email was sent on November 13th, 2011, just 2 months after the launch of Aviloop.
Welcome to Aviloop, your collective buying website for anything aviation.
So what was Aviloop? Well, to this day, we still don't have a true answer, but
very likely there's going to be a clear answer eventually.
Everyone has their theories, and most of them are not good. Many legitimately believe that Aviloop was a front for child trafficking, and I can see why. The connections and the strange material on the website and the channel make this impossible to write off as just some crazy conspiracy theory. And if this theory were to be believed, it makes the Aviloop YouTube channel that much more disturbing, as these videos would be advertisements for a human trafficking service that potentially included the victims as the stars. It's also possible that this was a hub for prostitution, and while sex work
which I assume is far from the only time this was ever happened. I mean, the amount of shit that is on YouTube. Stuff like this has probably happened multiple times.
Doesn't always mean human trafficking. Just given the players involved, that would definitely still be a concern. There's also still the possibility that Aviloop was secretly a porn website, like Epstein seemed to suggest in his email, with this content perhaps occurring on those one-on-one video calls. And there was one email that I found that was sent from Epstein's assistant, Story Cowles, that makes this feel even more believable, as Epstein asks him what he was up to which Story responds,
"Just playing online at Aviloop. Pouring rain. Love it, love it."
The way these people communicate is just so weird and hard to decipher, but playing online at Aviloop certainly seems to suggest that this wasn't just a typical daily deals website. And if porn really was the draw, I think given the secrecy of it and the people connected, I would still be very concerned about where they were getting these actresses,
obviously,
and if they were even of age. Nadia's legal team has pushed back on these theories, claiming she was merely Epstein's victim and nothing more, and someone who allegedly worked at Aviloop claimed that the ad campaign was merely...
I mean, again, how many times does the victim become the perpetrator? That's just the loop.
...meant to be provocative, and that's all. This just feels so hard to believe, and regardless of which, if any of these theories are true, it seems so obvious to me that Aviloop was never meant to just be a normal company.
I even questioned if perhaps Nadia had created Aviloop as a fake website, which Epstein could then funnel money into in order to make it look like Nadia was earning legitimate income, something that she needed to prove in order to get her US visa, which her emails to Epstein show she was clearly struggling with. And she seemed to allude to this at least being part of her reasoning for creating Aviloop in the first place, and part of the reason why she was asking Epstein for money. And ultimately, the only way she ended up getting that visa was through a deal that she made with the FBI that involved her informing them on Epstein's crimes. Her work directly helped lead to his 2019 arrest, and his ultimate death inside his jail cell that same year. And it was around the same time that Aviloop went back online with its fresh, scrubbed look, void of anything even close to being sexual. And since then, it's never been updated again. And there's hardly been any updates from Nadia herself either. She made a brief appearance in a 2019 YouTube video where she pulled a prank on a flying instructor, acting as an inexperienced student only to surprise the instructor with how skilled she was, with Nadia going as far as to dress as a child. But since then, her trail goes pretty much cold, and once the Epstein files started releasing around 2024, she disappeared from the public eye. Bizarrely, from that point on, the only trace of her seems to have come from images and videos from a monastery, which she seems to have joined.
Okay.
Nadia Mariko's work with the FBI and the immunity that she was given all those years ago makes it feel unlikely that she'll ever be prosecuted, or even investigated for whatever this whole operation was.
Man, this whole concept of immunity, it's just... I mean, I get it in the grand scheme of things, right? Like, she's one messed up person who will get immunity, but in exchange she gives up the big bad guy who, you know, really needs to be taken down, and it will lead to more other people being taken down. But it's still kind of like, it always kind of leaves a, you know, in a case like this, a shitty taste, right? Like in smaller case, you know, like, I don't know, someone, you know, like, did a bank robbery and one of the other guys shot someone, and so that guy confessed that guy did it for immunity. I guess it's like, fine, but in a case like this, yeah.
The reality, though, is that we don't know the full truth about Aviloop, and it's involved in one of the most
like
twisted and deep rabbit holes in human history. A rabbit hole filled with so many layers of cover-ups.
We did a video about Emperor Meiji 2 weeks ago, I think.
And corruption that I just hope that somewhere within all of it, we can eventually find an answer to the question, what was Aviloop? But until then, it will remain one of the darkest mysteries, not only on YouTube, but across the entire internet.
There's a lot of fucked up shit on YouTube, so you know. The unfortunate thing is that the darkest is probably like a long list, huh? But I agree that this fits in, yeah. And it's, I mean, again, it's allegedly, because we don't have clear proof, but it seems pretty obvious, huh? Like there's no other way that it's not that. Huh? Sheesh. Yeah. Yeah, but I've already seen the Epic History series, as well as a channel called Historically Inadequate, so, you know, I think I've seen, like, deeper videos than, you know, than that, I assume. But yeah, what can I say? Absolutely fucked up. I'm sure, like, this is gonna come out, right? I mean, again, there's so much fucking going on with this case, and so many people involved, so, you know, it's so much cover-up going on and all that, but I'm sure it's going to, like, happen, right? But I guess if she did some fucked up stuff, she won't be prosecuted. I don't know. I don't know how immunity works. Like, is it immunity for all the crime? I don't know how it works. Anyway, yeah, this was definitely fucking dark. Even though, again, there's no clear proof, but it still seems more than obvious. All I can say. Here's the link. What a video. This was messed up. I guess this is why he didn't upload in a long time. I guess he was doing research, right?